Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Sifu Messiah. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links can be found in the description for everything we discuss, so let's get on with it. So this is part 2 of Star Citizen Sunday, and today it's all about the Endeavor. We have a design post detailing many of the game mechanics and the modules, a Q&A answering questions you may have, plus we give you the need to know on the concept sale to help you decide whether or not you should buy. So finally we talk about the sale of the Endeavor. Now this post was titled Research and Bound the MISC Endeavor, and it explains that there are 3 stages to the Endeavor, the first one being the Explorer, and with this they wanted to create a craft for both dangerous field research and to facilitate extremely delicate lab work. The solution, they say, is a multi-stage ship that allows an armoured explorer cab to detach and operate under its own power. Designed with the armour and shielding needed to survive anything from micro-meteorite strikes to survey missions close to stars' coronas. The Explorer unit can be completely detached from the science workshop and operate independently. Now the second part of it is the workshop. This is basically the meat and potatoes of the Endeavour. It's a fully modular workshop section. It offers a 3x2 grid of 6 attachment points for science and medical pods. It says from standard labs to spacecraft, launch bays, to even more exotic designs. Most of the modules are constructed by MISC, but it does say that the attach points are open source to encourage niche development, which is very exciting. So the pods I think we see at the moment will most likely all be constructed by MISC. Hopefully we'll see some really interesting modules later on down the line. So the final stage, stage 3, is the drive unit. This contains what they call as a powerful capital class power plant. Anyway, the Endeavour allows for extreme modularity. It is a plug and play concept, so quite straightforward, and it can allow up to 6 independent modules at any one time. Typically they are installed in parallel to preserve thruster system, so that's to balance the thrusters. The first one being the biodrome. Now this is designed to support ongoing agriculture operations, growing foodstuffs which can then be sold for profit. Its size is a 2x1, or it takes up 2x1, and you are limited 2 domes per set, so a total of 4 can be mounted on your ship. The next one is the telescopic array. This turns the end into a powerful mobile stellar observatory, and it allows crew to gather data from the depth of space. Again, a 2x1 and only 1 single telescope per ship. Next up is the Super Collider, and this is the most visually unique. It's a distinct circular super collider which is a small piece of a more elaborate overclocking facility. There's a pair of White Room workbench labs for tweaking and overclocking components, and you can push your components with the atomic precision thanks to the accelerator. This one is a 2x2, so it takes up a bit more room than the first 2. Now there are some multi-purpose pods as well, the first one being a service equipment and crew pod, which is a 2x1, and it's nicknamed the SEACE, or the SEACE, the Service Equipment and Crew Enclosure. It adds additional crew facilities and allows workshop module to function as a standalone installation for longer missions. The next one is a General Research Pod, which again is 2x1, or the GSP it's called, and it's intended as a multi-use facility to support a variety of active science pursuits. So from microscopy, zero-grav experiments, biological studies, etc, etc, it has all these options. Internal slots for precision scanners, sample and specimen collectors, spectrometers and chemical analyzers, capable of cataloguing new experimental data and producing cutting-edge compounds. The GRP is intended for legal experiments as authorized by the UEE only. So the whole of that just shows there's so much more gameplay to this science career than we first thought, not to mention you can do some illegal actions. The next up is the General Science Pod, or the GSP. This is the Endeavour's analytic module. Points for a variety of scientific computers and data banks and processing of data gathered elsewhere. So you would collect the data and then you'd use this science pod to study it. It's got extensive systems for turning raw information from the General Research Pod and telescopic array into data for sale or trade. So it sounds like you'll need one of those while you have the telescopic array. The next one is the Fuel Pod, or the Standard Cargo Pod. Again, a 2x1. This takes up minimal space to add additional fuel for long duration flights, and it's used by the Endeavour crews venturing out further into space. The next one is the medical bay. Now we've seen some pictures of this. This is a 2x2, so quite a large set of attached rooms which operate effectively as a standing hospital. Complete with operating theatres, recovery rooms and more, it's intended to operate alongside the optional landing bay to ferry patients in and out for treatment and recovery. This again is another whole career of being a medic or a doctor, Maybe you can work in the operating theatres and be a surgeon. God knows, there's so much to this game, it's unbelievable. So finally, they mentioned about the landing bay. This is a 2x1. It slings a single large hangar underneath the craft, attaches directly to other lab pods, has room to support multiple Cutlass Red ambulances, well 2 I think is what they've said, and it features a decontamination facility. Also functions alongside standard science modules, and I think you can have it pretty much with most of the modules. I'm unsure of the Super Collider as this comes underneath. We shall have to wait and see. So the sale is, as you could expect, it's a concept sale, so it includes LTI lifetime insurance on the hull and the pair of hangar flare items, which is the poster and the Takietsu model. Once they are ready for future sales, the price will increase and it will not include the extras like LTI or the posters, and it's available until the 10th of October when CitizenCon hits. So if you want one, get them now. As a disclaimer, they say that the sales, these concept sales, they help fund Star Citizen and help develop the universe. The ship will be available to purchase using in-game credits, so it's not necessary at all to spend real money should you not want to. The Endeavor will enter the ship pipeline now, but it will likely be released after other concept ships have been completed, and the pods will likely come online at random times. So the buying options that you have several pre-set options. There's Discovery class, which includes a variety of multi-purpose labs and storage facilities, including the service and crew pod, the general research pod, and the general science pod. This comes in at $425. Next up is the Hope class, which is dubbed so by the UEE. This is the medical variant, which comes with the medical bay and landing pad. Its design is as a troop support ship, and this is $450. The Olympic class, which is the one with the 2 sets of biodomes, total of 4 pods for self-contained farming. This is $500, and then the master set, which includes one of every module currently available, and it says that when the modules are not in use, they will be stored in your hangar. This is $900. Now the base ship itself with no modules is $350. The pods you can buy separately, so you've got the service and crew pod at $25, the fuel pod at $35, the general research pod and the general science pods are both $45. The medical bay and landing bay is $75 each. The biodome pods are $100, and the telescopic array and super collider pod are $125 each, and all of those come with LTI, with it being the concept sale. Do not forget that if you live in the UK or in the EU, you will be paying an extra VAT of about 20%, I believe it is. So, size-wise, it is quite a large ship. It is 200 meters, which is 38 meters less than the Idris and 30 meters bigger than the Orion. Its beam is 48 meters, its height is 20 meters. As we know, the standard cargo unit is set to about 500, but obviously if you get the extra hangar, you get that 4,500 plus, and this is obviously in the front Explorer cab for the 500. This doesn't include any of the parts of the 2 stages. The main thrusters are to be determined. There appears to be 9 of them, and weapons wise there are 2 size 3 remote laser turrets, so it's not that well defended. Anyway, it is an exciting time. Every time there's a new ship launch I get so giddy. Tell me your thoughts of it. Are you excited for this? It's great to see another ship that isn't combat orientated and has so many different gameplay elements that explain a bit more as to what we can expect for farming, medical, science. Very exciting. Tell me your thoughts. So with the launch of the Endeavor Concept Sale, there was a design post to bring us information on how each module will work and how the Endeavor will fit into the universe. They explain that the MISC Endeavor is one of the most unique Star Citizen ships and allows players the freedom to choose their own path. It features an unprecedented level of modularity and customization, allowing the ship to fulfill a variety of different roles. The ability of an authorized dealer to retrofit any of the 3 attachment points, allowing for flexibility to change the core functions of the ship. Very cool. The first thing they picked up on is the ID beacon. This is a signal containing various information, either broadcasted from a ship or a player or a ship requesting a specific service. The location of the beacon and its information can be selectively superimposed on a ship's nav map of the local solar system. So an ejected pilot can enable their personal beacon and designate what they're willing to pay for their rescue. Now this is obviously if your ship has been blown to smithereens. Then players with a ship capable of retrieving an ejected pilot listening in for such signals would then decide if the payment offered is worth the effort. So whether a stranded player is in a dangerous area, if you've been blown up and you are in a dangerous area in your escape pod, you would have to put a bit more of a higher premium on your pay for your rescue. So the first unit they picked up on is the medical unit. Now this is fitted with the equipment to heal any injury or cure any illness. So by illness, they have not mentioned that there will be illnesses in the solar system that the player can contract. We have heard posts about them quarantining a planet or a landing zone because of illness and so forth, but this suggests that that players, ourselves, we will be able to contract illnesses and need to be treated for this. Very exciting, and also goes into the whole medical career, how it's not just going to be a stim-pack to clear all your illnesses, it's going to have to be a bit more thorough. Now it says this allows players in popular areas of space ignored by other Endeavors, and will be able to have a demand for their services. So if you own an Endeavor and there's no other Endeavors around, and it's quite a populated area, then you could earn yourself quite a decent living offering medical services. It also acts as a remote respawn point for both players and smaller ships, and we'll get onto that in a second. So it says that when a player dies, they will have the option of respawning at any landing zone with a hospital for a minimum charge. Or they can inspect the prices offered by all nearby Endeavors with medical modules that have activated their ID beacons to show up as a respawn. This obviously will allow you to get back into the action quicker should the Endeavor be in the right spot, which is quite interesting and a pretty decent concept in my opinion. I'm hoping it's not going to be a case of a Call of Duty style respawn where you keep going back. It sounds like it may take a little while for your respawn to kick in, so it's not going to, the enemy can win the battle while you are respawning. It says after the player respawns in the Endeavor, they are granted access to the waiting room where they can order any of several smaller ships that fit within the medical module hangar bay. Now it does say that the Endeavor owner has to pay a premium for the rapid and remote delivery of such ships and can dictate the amount of profit they require. This is quite interesting because where do these ships come from? Who do we pay for the ship? So would you have to buy a brand new ship in order to get back into the action, or would it be a shuttle to take you to the action? These are questions we need answering, and I think the QA post will hopefully clear this up. So once the ship arrives, the respawned player and any of their party also in the waiting room can then enter the hangar and board the ship. Now whether or not that means random players or you have to be in that particular party of players to get into that ship, I don't know. It says most orgs will want to have an Endeavor in their armada and keep it close by for this particular reason. Very cool, and it does open up a lot of gameplay mechanics. You're going to need a few people to run this Endeavor with the medical unit. Very interesting. So the next module up is the organics module, or the biodomes. This allows for various forms of plant life to be grown and harvested for profit. Basic requirements are soil, fertilizer, seeds and water. All can be purchased at garden supply stores located in most major LZs or mined extracted from the environment. It says farming is labour intensive and requires attention to detail. This game just gets bigger and bigger. Who would have thought that there'd be farming involved? Anyway, it says there's two parts to it. The first part being ascertaining exactly what a particular plant species requires to thrive, then giving it to them at the appropriate times. Variables include quality of soil, type of fertilizer, temperature, amount of water, and type and quantity of radiation. Now the module you get consists of 2 biodomes, each with multiple sections, and gardening beds where species are planted. So each section will have grow lights above them and a command console to change radiation type and quantity. The temperature of the biodome, which is not for individual sections, can be specified. So if you're growing multiple species together, ensure that they all need the same temperature, otherwise you could kill off quite a lot of plant. The application of water, fertilizer and harvesting is all done manually. Now this is such a huge game mode in itself, and it would be quite a nice, pleasant pastime. Now it says many standard plant species will grow and prosper in standard soil with basic fertilizer or temperature, etc, etc. Whereas exotic species require high quality soil and special fertilizer. It's not going to be straightforward. They say each plant is effectively a puzzle. You've got to figure out the cheapest, most effective way to grow said plants. Most plants are valued for their end result, so your fruits, your vegetables, herbs, spices, fragrance or medical compound, and some obviously for their appearances. But some outputs can be preserved, whereas others will have a short life and will need to be delivered to their destination before they die, or their value will decrease. It says a farmer focusing on the basics can earn a solid living, but it can be very lucrative if you figure out how to grow more exotic species which are difficult to reproduce, and attaining such mastery will not come easily or cheaply. You've got to obviously first attain the elusive or expensive seeds, and then it's a case of trial and error to try and get it right, which could cost you a fortune, it says, so it isn't going to be easy. One of the ideas floating around is whether some radiation, which is crucial to the plant's growth, can be artificially generated. Thus the players will seek out natural sources within a given system. Some species could favour a star corona, which would tax the ship's shields to its limits, whereas others may prefer a soft glow of a nebula. So there's going to be so much involved in just this game mode. And again, as they say, the more rare plants have to be profitable in order to take the risks. But if you are interested in farming, or you just want to have a nice easy life just planting and farming some seeds, then it sounds like you can do so and you will earn a good living. So the next module is the Discovery module, and it says that this is tailored towards aspiring astronomers. Now this comes with a powerful 16-meter telescope mounted on a rotatable base, capable of scanning in the infrared, visible and gamma spectrum, as well as dual injection ports for long-range probes. And it says that wayward comets, asteroid fields, derelict ships and primordial black holes are just a few things you might eventually discover. It says select an area of the sky and slowly search for anomalies. An object which appears to be nothing may reveal itself to be something eventually, and an object that might emit radiation could suggest something out of the ordinary. It says while scanning an asteroid field, you may see something that blocks a portion of the star's radiation, which may be noticeable by a twinkling of light, and then that would give you your clue to go and investigate later on. Now it says increasing the magnification of the telescope decreases the field of view, which makes sense. Some things like comets can be identified easily with its wispy tails, whereas others may need a probe to be sent out to attain such certainty. Once a positive ID is made, a point of interest marker will be placed on the nav map. Then the info can be shared with other players, kept to yourself, or sold to an information broker. Again, a very cool game mechanic. I'm sure plenty of people will love that. So the additional modules and the future, they say they have some in concept, and we know of the crew module, which is additional living space, the fuel module, which allows for the vessel to go much further distances, and then the Super Collider module, which enables precise adjustments to core components like weapons and thrusters or overclocking. Other modules under construction include the defense module, which allows the Endeavor to effectively defend itself. So this is the first post they put up about the design. Now we will get on about the sale and what each module brings, but I would think that next week there will be a Q&A post, one or two of them, as there's lots of questions that are being raised, because what this post is bringing, this design post, is showing more not just about what the Endeavor brings, but about gameplay in general and what we can expect to see. A lot of this I never even thought would exist, like farming, and it sounds like, again, like when you hear about mining, they are so intense and so in-depth that they're going to be a whole game in itself. Anyway, tell me your thoughts. I am so excited for all this. Star Citizen is about to explode for the good, and I'm happy that everyone's along for the ride. So with the release of the Endeavor Concept Sale, inevitably there was going to be a Q&A. Myself, I have many questions, and this is part 1 Q&A of the Endeavor, so it answers so many of the questions. I think there'll likely be a part 2, possibly a part 3. First question being, what ship combinations, other than the Cutlasses, can fit in the landing bay and be successfully launched and maintained? So this is in regards to the small hangar bay that you get slung underneath your Endeavor. And it says the hangar size internally is 30 meters wide by 65 meters deep, and it's 10 meters tall. And the general rule with hangars in Star Citizen is, if it fits, it sits. So use those measurements to determine how many of each ship you can fit in there, and that goes for every ship with hangar bays. Next question is the 500 standard cargo units listing for cargo in the Explorer cab only, or can the fuel pods be used for cargo, and if so, how much? And they say that it is the space that's in the Explorer cab, as this will break off and land to deliver the goods. It says the fuel pods would not be able to be used as cargo, but you can store other in-flight consumables like battery packs or ammunition in certain configurations. So next question, can the hangar bay be used to store cargo? If so, how much? And it says it will be possible to install some cargo locking plates and use some of the hangar space for hauling. And they say that you'll be able to add about roughly 4,500 additional standard cargo units if you to use half of the landing bay. So I mean, hell, if you can use the full landing bay, you've got a good 9,000 extra there. Next question is, can I only own the Explorer cab instead of the full ship? And they said that they considered it but decided against it, as without the ability to jump drive, players starting with it would just be trapped. So next question, do the modules have to be used in pairs, equal parts on equal sides, for example? And they said that at the moment, yes. If it was an asymmetrical ship, then balancing the thrusters would be more difficult. It's possible in the future that 1x1 modules may be available, but they'll have to wait until the game is launched so players can see how it impacts the maneuverability. So moving on, the landing bay is a 2x1. Can I equip 3? And they say no, the landing bays are limited to 1 per ship, because the additional bays would block one another from gaining entry, which makes kind of sense. So the next question is, will the additional future pods be included in the master set? And it says no, the master set is only what's included with the sale at the moment. So next question, why does the Explorer cab not come with a jump drive when smaller ships in game do? Will it be an aftermarket option? Quite a good question. And they say that there is basically no slot for a jump drive. They want to stress that it's important that every ship should not be capable of doing every job, and the intention with the Explorer cab is it uses its space for extra armor and shielding and does not have the power plant to support a jump drive, which makes perfect sense. So second to last question is, are the module spots predetermined, or can I install any module on any spot, fore or aft? And it says they're not predetermined, you can fit it anywhere on the 3x2 grid. So final question, can any of the pods be equipped on the other MISC ships like the Hull series, and can the cargo pods be used on the Endeavor? Now it says that the cargo pods from the Hull are standardized, so you can store them aboard your Endeavor, but they've not decided yet whether you can plug the modules into the sides, and the scientific modules cannot be attached to the Hull series. So that answers quite a few questions. There are plenty more questions, I'm sure, and part 2, possibly part 3, will answer the rest. So don't forget to check out our affiliate links below for some great deals and offers. Anytime a product is bought, we will get a little kickback. So yet again, we have come to the end of the show. I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers and a massive thank you to all our patrons. You are truly helping our channel grow. If you are interested or able to help us out in way of a monthly donation from as little as $1 to any amount you deem fit, check out our Patreon page in the description. This really helps our channel to create more videos, better quality videos, and it allows us to get better hardware, better software, plus it allows us to spend more time on creating the videos. Don't forget to subscribe, comment if you have anything to say, show me the love by hitting the like button, and share it with all your friends and enemies. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in next week's show.